And joining us now is Vivek Ramaswamy. It got certainly very personal at times tonight, especially between you and Nikki Haley. You mentioned her daughter and talked about her heels. Let's take a listen.
Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right, Mr.
In which case, we've got two of them on stage tonight.
Yes, I'd first like to say they're 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them.
So welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Ramaswamy. Did you make it a point to go after her personally? I mean, it felt like that initially that was a planned attack about the heels.
Look, I have a deep concern about the corruption in both parties, and I think corruption is part of the reasons why we have a pro-war military-industrial complex in this country that pervades both countries. But Nikki Haley is the face of that military-industrial complex in this race and in the Republican primary, and I worry we're as close to World War III as we've ever been. It's Dick Cheney 2.0, and I think that that's a deep concern. This is somebody who has been throwing barbs the entire race, and I think that, frankly, a lot of them have been on falsehoods. If you look at that last debate, she managed to spend the entire debate stage doing it. My view is, if you want actual accountability and an open discussion with transparency of your financial connections, of the money you've made, I challenge her to actually disclose the clients of Allied Defense LLC, her military contracting firm. She hasn't done it. Disclose 20 years of tax records like I have. The American people deserve to see it, especially as we're marching our way to war. I think it's inappropriate. I think it is ugly, and frankly, I think it's the cancer in both political parties is this level of corruption, and I do think that it deserves to be exposed. I think the media has refused to touch it for a little while for reasons we could discuss, but I do think that the American people deserve to know, and that's why we began talking about that tonight on the stage.
And when you started talking about TikTok and her daughter playing TikTok or using TikTok, and then she called you scum, just curious your reaction in that moment.
Well, my reaction is that she's preaching and lecturing other families about not using TikTok when her own adult, 25-year-old daughter, which I don't think it's a sin for young people to use TikTok. My point is actually most young people are using it. And so we're not going to solve the problem of anti-Semitism or pro-Hamas rhetoric if all Republicans retreat. To the contrary, it shows how hypocritical and out of touch she is that she'll go on that debate stage, call me out for TikTok. I think her exact words last time was, "I feel dumber every time you speak." Well, I understand why she actually might feel that way if you think about it. But the deeper point is these politicians are hypocrites. They deserve to be called out. And I think we need a new generation of leadership coming from the outside that speaks the hard truth. And if you're going to be somebody who's lecturing the rest of the American people and families about their kids using TikTok, well, I think that it deserves to be called out how pervasive that really is. And it's easier said than done. And so I stand by it.
As you well know, Donald Trump held a dueling rally tonight. His name came up very little on the debate stage. Why have you and your fellow GOP hopefuls not taken him on more? After all, he's up 40 points in the polls.
I had a debate strategy of responding to the questions that were asked, and I think I did that for the near entirety of the evening. The fact of the matter is the reason Donald Trump's ahead in the polls is he was a good president. He kept us out of World War III. He kept us out of wars more broadly, and he grew the economy. So he sets a high bar. I think I'm the only other America First candidate in this race, though, and my advantage is that I am from the next generation. I do have fresh legs, and I can reach that next generation in a way that no other person in this race can. And so that's going to be a choice for the voters. I think it's going to be an America First candidate that gets the nomination. Do you want one from the prior generation, or do you want one from the next generation? And I think that's the real choice that this comes down to.
You didn't have the most speaking minutes. You didn't have the least speaking minutes. What did you feel about your time up there on the stage? Good night for you?
I felt very good about it. I felt like we were very honest, and I think that I did take the gloves off a little bit tonight. I think the other candidates have been, Nikki Haley in particular has been toxic in this race, and so I think that if that's the direction she's taking, watch those first two debates, you saw it. I think that, if you can't handle the heat, you stay out of the kitchen. If you're going to dish it, you better be willing to take it. And I think that the American people deserve to see, especially in this heightened time of war, the financial conflicts of interest that lead, frankly, the neocons in particular in the Republican Party to adopt the bloodthirsty pro-war positions that they do. And I think we accomplished that tonight.
You've said that the Republican Party has become a party of losers. You said that right at the start of the debate. Where does the party go from here after last night and losing the abortion referendum in Ohio and some other key races?
Yeah, I think the party needs to have some soul searching. I think we live in a moment where our nation needs some soul searching. Answer what it means to be an American. Revive those missing ideals of the American Revolution. Meritocracy, free speech, self-governance, the rule of law, the basic ideals that unite us as Americans. Let's rediscover those. And then I think the Republican Party should become the pro-American party that stands for those shared national values, that stands for the interests of American citizens rather than other people halfway around the world. Prioritize our own citizens. Keep us out of World War III. Make sure U.S. policymakers have an exclusive obligation to Americans who live right here in our country. I think that's the future of the Republican Party. That's where I'd like to lead it. But like our nation, it's a party in the middle of an identity crisis. That's why it's going to take an outsider, I think, from a different generation. That's why I'm in this race. And I think we're going to be successful. I think this is our window to get this right. We're not working with a lot of time. But if we get this right in this next window, I do think our nation's best days can still be ahead of us, and the Republican Party's too.
And part of your debate strategy from your campaign was that you were going to come out tonight unhinged, if you will, with the gloves off. Do you feel that you were able to execute that according to plan?
I think so. My campaign strategy from here on out, it's been what it's been since day one. Speak the truth, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Be unvarnished about it. At the end of the debate, I called out the farce that Biden's not going to be the nominee. I think we got to honestly contend with that as well. Speaking of some of the media's hypocrisy, the hypocrisy within the Republican Party, I'll call it out 360 degrees. That's how we restore trust in this country. We need a leader who's willing to speak that level of unvarnished truth. I think I did that tonight. I think we were very successful tonight. And I think that we're going to be successful in winning this nomination.
Last question, if you'll humor me, if you will. I've asked you before, any chance that you would consider being vice president if given that opportunity?
I'm not a Plan B person. I think you know this about me, Lindsay. I didn't get to where I am in life by being a Plan B person. We're focused on the mission we set out to achieve. And I'm not asking for sympathy, but a considerable sacrifice. Our family has lived the American dream. We're raising 2 young sons. One's 3, one's a year old. On paper, this should be a crazy thing for us to do, living a blessed life that this country's given us in Columbus, Ohio. We don't take that lightly, and we didn't undertake that journey lightly. We set out to achieve the destination. I'm optimistic we're going to achieve it. And, you know, whether it's building my businesses or this journey, I was never a Plan B person, and I don't intend to start now.
But you wouldn't rule it out?
I'm not a Plan B person, is the answer to that question. I'm just answering very honestly and frankly. It's just that's my headspace is truly committed to becoming the next president. My heart says we're going to be successful. We'll see. Your brain analyzing the polls, I know, would pave a challenging path, but my heart says we're going to be successful in this, and that's what we're going to follow.
Vivek Ramaswamy, so appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.